You mentioned there that there was a point, or there were probably several points or a long period of time where it was really hard just to go from like paycheck to paycheck to pay off your expenses. And I remember reading in your book, $100 million Offers, you talked about an anecdote where you actually were almost at like a kind of breaking point financially. I think it was like 2016. Your business partner, you just sold like 5 of your 6 gyms,
Yeah.
but please clarify this. And he stole all of your money that you took from it, like 50 grand or something
Yeah.
like that. What was it that got you over the line in that moment? And what was that experience like? If you could just elaborate on that story for the listeners.
It was horrible, you know. I mean, I described the moment in the book, but I mean, I just felt very dead inside. You know, I mean, I actually don't even think I got to go to the negative degree. I think I just unplugged from my emotions because, like,
Mm.
it took me years to actually like rekindle like feeling, like emoting as a human being, because it's easier to not feel the lows and not feel the highs and just feel numb. It's easier for long periods of time to do that. At some point, though, it's kind of like the risk of the job where it's good at, like, sometimes you need to get into that zone for the short term to just avoid the devastation or whatever that you're feeling. But for me, I mean, it's hard. Maybe the younger people will understand, but like I had so much pressure, self-imposed pressure, well, not really even self-imposed pressure, that was very real, imposed by, you know, my parents and specifically my father, that this was a terrible decision. And so, you know, the growing the gyms, I still didn't get approval or acceptance for that success. Never did. And then selling them was going to be like, okay, this is some level of material success. And then to have it vanish after 4 years of building the 6 gyms, you know, I was left with nothing. And it almost like 4 years of my life was just gone. I had nothing to show for it, or at least as I perceived it at the time, I had nothing to show for it. But me now saying this, like in retrospect, the next month I made $100,000 after losing everything. And so it's such a fallacy. It was such a poor level of thinking to think to myself, I have nothing to show for it. When in reality, those gyms were never for me to make money on. Those gyms were for me to learn the game of business, right? And so what I had left from that was every skill that I developed in my tool set, which then built the next year, literally 12 months later, $28 million in revenue. And so, like, my work was working on me more than I was working on it.
Mm.
And I think that if we can take that perspective, and I do, and I espouse that a lot with the younger entrepreneurs that I speak with, it will do a world of good. And it's just, I just, like, I'm so passionate about this concept because it's so hard right now for the 18-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 22-year-olds, because like the expectations that are out there are so unrealistic and so inflated. The average high schooler senior believes that they will be 52% of high schoolers, they did a survey in the US, believe they will be a millionaire by 25. 52%.
Wow.
More than half believe they will be a millionaire by 25. It's just like, it's so far away from reality.
Mm.
That's not even 1%. Not 1% of 25-year-olds or you're talking 0.00, you know what I mean? 1%.
Mm.
Like, it's such a rare feat to think that the majority, more than half, think that is such a fallacy to me, which is why I feel like when I go on an audience that is like this, I'm like way less tactical and way more just like, guys, if you can just expand your time horizon. So my neighbor's 18 and he's like my little mentee that I've been taking on in his entrepreneurial career. It's like, if I can get you to sign a contract that says that I can get you to $1 million a year, but you can't make any money for 10 years, would you sign the contract today? A lot of them would say yes.
Good question.
A lot of people would say yes. If I said, you'll make $1 million when you're 28, it'll take you 10 years. Will you sign that contract? Because here's the thing. If you approach the game that way and say, what thing can I do now that if extrapolated over 10 years, it would be reasonable for me to believe that over that period of time, I will grow by incrementally 10%, 20% a year, right? And I will get to that in that time period. But what ends up happening is that they want to make $1 million in 90 days from whatever today is. Right.
Mm.
And 90 days from now, they'll want to make $1 million in 90 days. And they'll jump from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing, expecting that this will be the thing. And 10 years from now, they'll still be thinking they're 90 days away. When the reality is that if you just started from the beginning, you learn the fundamentals and you actually play the game without the expectation, you'll learn to play the game better. because you'll actually learn the trench knowledge and you'll do the skills instead of trying to make the shortcuts. You'll do the work, and then the work will work on you. And even if you lose it all 5 years in, like I did twice, you'll develop the character traits, the skills, and the beliefs that will set you up.